Good morning. Happy Monday. This is episode 20, Mondays with Coach Rice. How y'all doing this morning? I'm doing wonderful, actually. I just left the gym, had a really great workout, working on getting my journey back on track. So I'm excited about that. It's always a journey. But anyway, I'm your host, Coach Rice, your professional certified life and health coach and trained mental health counselor. Today I'm coming to you, I'm talking about validation. The title of this podcast is Weaning Off the Addiction of Validation. That subject is meaningful in my heart because I was the poster child for needing validation. And so anytime I overcome something, I like to talk about it because it may help somebody. Have you ever thought about, why do other people's opinion mean more to me than my own? Have you ever thought about, why do I need validation? Do I really know what's inside of me? And those are the questions I want you to think about as I go through this podcast. What made me think about this title is funny. I was Saturday, I was like, Lord, I don't have a title. What do? I don't have a topic. And so, I do have a lot of topics, but when I come to you, I want to come with something that either I've gone through or either I'm overcoming something or God is working with me on something. I want it to be heartfelt. I don't want to just come and give you information I have no clue about. It's meaningful to me to approach my audience with authenticity. And so I was listening to an interview with T.D. Jakes on Saturday, as after I prayed and had my devotion and I asked the Lord, what topic? I don't have a topic. It was something he said in his interview that he mentioned something about affirmation. But when he mentioned it was like a gut punch. And it was like, that's it, seeking validation. And it was like, as if God was like, this your title. And so I played with the title and said, how do I, come about addressing it where it's really meaningful? But the reason why I said weaning off is because weaning is the process of transitioning from seeking constant external validation. Now, external validation is I'm looking for something from something outside of myself. And then you moving from that to developing an internal assurance of what it means to be valuable, but you're looking for it on the inside of yourself because that's where really the confirmation is. It's on the inside of yourself. Our bodies are it's so interesting how God created us. I often think about it a lot because the body heals itself. And that's why I like for us to really take our time to find out who we are. Because when you know who you are, it is connected to how you show up every day. It's connected to how you view yourself. And it's also connected to your purpose. So if you don't know who you are, you're really going to lack purpose. And lacking purpose makes life less meaningful to you personally. So this addiction, I call it addiction because every time you need constant validation, what I mean by addiction to validation, that's where individuals seek affirmation and approval from other people. But the interesting part about that, they don't even believe it when they hear it. And so it wears you out. I remember when I was an undergrad, honestly, my inner child cry was always, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. And so when I was an undergrad, I thought I needed validation. But when I got it, I didn't believe it anyway. People say, you're so smart. And I can picture 5 ways to tell you, no, because I didn't get A plus, I got an A minus, and or fighting for grades so I can make myself feel better. Even though I was at the top of my class, I still didn't feel smart enough. And so that was an internal thing that had to take place, some healing of the from the inside, not from the outside. And so as I was, you know, it's funny because the reason why I say the body is so interesting, because behavior tells you that how you behave is so linked to your thought process. How you act, your actions is so linked to your heart. And so your body will tell you things about yourself. And it's time to, me personally, I don't want to overlook bad behavior in my life. I don't want to overlook actions that's not aligned and congruent with my heart. When I find that happening, then that's my indication, Martha, you need to look at this. And so when I was in undergrad, I know I wore people out. I apologize for how I wore you out, trying to make myself feel better about myself, because it will wear you out. I kid you not. This need for validation is a natural human desire, because we all want to feel understood and accepted. But the key to that is we have to know who we are on the inside. We have to connect with ourselves, not other people telling us who we are. Because if someone tells me who I am, then I'm missing my purpose. I'm driving the wheel of someone else's opinion, and that's not what I want to do personally, because it's not serving me in my life. And so the dependency can significantly impact your self-esteem, your behavior, and your overall well-being. So you want to know, you want to check it. If you feel like, I'm gonna give you some indications where it works, how it operates, and what it looks like in your life, because only reason why I know, because I was the poster child, I'm telling you. But I'm so grateful that God has been weaning me off in all the areas of my life where I don't need validation, because he showed me who I was, who I am. He showed me who I am. And so why is this so prevalent in the lives of so many? That what validation, seeking validation, you know what it is? It's that inner child crying out of desperation, saying, I need to feel needed. I need to feel valued. I need to feel reassured, because I don't feel like I'm good enough. That's what that inner child is crying out in different areas. And so, but the interesting part about it, it's a very interesting dynamic of what it is. And I'm gonna give you an example too. But given it's interesting, because the person who's actually you come to for validation, you giving value to that other person. That's what you're doing. You're saying you're more valuable to me to tell me who I am. Think about that. You're more valuable than I am. So you get to tell me who I am you get to tell me about myself. That's actually the interaction that's actually happening. It's a transactional thing that's actually taking place. It becomes dysfunctional because it's a transactional relationship of manipulation. That's really what it is. I'll give you a perfect example. The person who is seeking validation is looking to control the relationship dynamic. Think about that. Think about that for a minute. And I want you to think about that as I take you through the lenses of what it looked like in different areas. And so, but the person who is doing the manipulation, the person who's validating, is trying to actually get something from the person. It's a complementary relationship that's dysfunctional. So the person who's standing there and, man, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? well, I don't see it. And you're like, yeah, it's like that. And you overly trying to make them feel good, but it's actually something you're trying to get out of them as well. So it's a dance of manipulation. So be careful with that, because when you don't feel valued, people pick it up. People who's seeking to take from you know that you don't feel valuable, and they're willing to manipulate you to get what they want because you're not in the right place. And that's why I'm calling it out as it is. It's a form of idolatry and manipulation, because we're using our emotions to get what we want from others, and that's not right. I'm going to tell you how I show up in relationships. I'm going to talk about the parental relationship because it's very important. Looking for reassurance, approval, and emotional support from your children is not the answer. They are not there for that. So I'm going to ask you a few questions to ponder on, rhetorical questions. Do you find yourself seeking compliments or praise from your children for things you do or the decisions that you make? We all, as parents, I ain't gonna lie, I'm a parent, and the inner child that's crying out that had to be healed was the fact that I always wanted my father to be proud of me. But the fact that he showed me he was proud of me, but in the way that I wanted him to. And so since he didn't do it the way I wanted him to, I missed the fact that he always said he was proud of me. He always gave it to me in cards, birthday cards and stuff like that, and I never paid attention to the verbiage of it. But he did tell me he was proud of me, but since he didn't show me his way, I missed it. So it transcended to my relationships with my children, husband, friends, even with God, which was interesting because I always had this sense of like not good enough. If you don't show me that you're proud of me, then I'm not valued. That was the message. That was the inner child cry that had to be healed. And so another question, do you find yourself wanting to be the hero in your children's lives? That's a big one. I used to I really wanted to be the person until God said, if you don't move out the way, how is he going to see me? And I was like, wow. So that's another indication of a cry out. And another one, do you find yourself discussing adult problems or personal issues with your children in a way that makes them feel responsible for your emotional well-being? Our children need to be children. We have to have boundaries within the relationship with our children as well. Do you find yourself feeling guilty or anxious if your child seems unhappy or disapproving or constantly trying to change their mood to make them feel better so you can feel better about yourself? Sometimes our children have to go through things so they can learn. We went through and we had to learn. But that anxiety and that intensity of that, I need him to feel better, I can't have him in this state, is for yourself, not for them. That's because you want to be validated at that moment. And do you feel intense fear or discomfort at the thought of your children being disappointed or upset with you? That's a big one. A lot of parents are their children's friends because they don't want their children upset with them. But you're doing a disservice when those boundaries are crossed, because when it's time for you to discipline, you can't. And so that's how it shows up in the relationship as a parent. How it shows up in marriage, we can encourage each other. That's different. So encouraging my spouse mean I'm going to encourage him to do something that he may be struggling with, but that's a one-time encouragement. Validation is different. That means he's seeking it from me And that means that I gotta constantly remind him of who he is, and even though he don't believe me in the first place. But if you often find yourself needing reassurance about your love and your commitment and your attractiveness in your relationship, then that's an indication that you need to really seek inner assurance. Do you rely heavily on your spouse's compliments to feel good about yourself or your accomplishments? This is not an arrogant type of conversation where I feel I'm better or with my accomplishments, but it's nice to be able to share my accomplishments, but he don't have to roll out the red carpet for me to feel good about my accomplishments. Some accomplishments I don't even talk about because I feel so good about them. It really just, I'm so grateful to God that he allowed me to do it. So I don't really have a issue with it like I used to. And do you feel insecure or jealous of your spouse when he give attention to others? And I ain't talking about the attention he may give to another female. I'm just saying others, period. Children, friends, all of these things. That's a sign that you may need to check your inner child. What's going on with the inner child? Are your mood or self-esteem heavily influenced by how your spouse reacts or treats you on a daily basis? That's another one. People always put this, I need to be happy, and they put it on their spouse. That's not my job to make you happy. That's something that's inside of you that has to come from within you. And so we look to outside sources for something that's already inside of us that can help us. And those are indications that we need to check and look and see what part of the inner child is acting. What is this inner child in me saying, so that I can get healed in this area, because it shows up in the behavioral process. Good morning, my husband. I'm so grateful you're on with me. I see you. But we want to make sure that we really pay attention to that, because now let me show you how it shows up in friendships. Seeking validation. It is a natural part of our social interaction with each other. But do you find yourself feeling anxious about being included in social activities, or worrying excessively about being left out if you're not invited? Sometimes you're not going to be invited to everything, but it's okay. But it don't always mean that people don't like you. It can mean people forget. We're human, right? Or maybe it's something that God don't want you involved in. So you get to choose how you want to deal with that. But do you rely heavily on your friends' compliments to feel good about yourself as well? Like wearing an outfit and nobody compliments you, you go home feeling sad. That lets you know that you're seeking validation externally. Do you experience significant stress or anxiety at the thought of your friends disapproving your actions, decisions, or opinions, to the point that you would actually not even care about, you want their approval so bad that you don't even care. You lose all parts of your core values. That's letting you know you need validation from an outside source. Nobody should ever take you off of your core, your path of your core values, or move you away from who you are because they disapprove of your actions. Everybody, you got to realize, everybody, they're not going to like you. That's the cold reality. Just understand, everybody is not going to like you. I used to be wanting to be liked by everybody. That'll wear you out within itself, because people may like one thing then one day and not the next. When someone is controlling the temperature of your emotions, that's an indication that you need to seek help, and that you need to figure out, why is that inner child so desperately in need of this approval? People pleasing is the cousin of this, seeking validation. People pleasing. Now, how it shows up in the workplace is interesting, because we want to move up the ladder when we're in a situation when we're in a workplace. Seeking validation from your boss is just common. It's a common work dynamic that everybody has, right? Because you want to move up, you want to be seen, you want to be heard, you want to be looked upon. But when it becomes excessive, that's when it becomes a problem, because it impinges on your personal growth. So here's some indications where you may need to check that. Do you feel overly anxious or insecure without getting that feedback from your boss, that positive feedback? You know, some bosses love the work you do, and they may not say nothing, but do you feel a certain way when they don't? You don't have to say nothing to me, just let me see it in my paycheck. That's me. Do you experience significant stress or anxiety at the thought of, receiving criticism or negative feedback? Sometimes I'm gonna tell you something. Constructive criticism is a growth process. It really helps you grow. It's uncomfortable, I'm not gonna lie, but it really helps you grow. I remember my niece-in-law, she really put it in a really good way. She said, I don't like what you said, and I ain't like hearing it, but what you said was right. And she really took inventory of herself and said that, that's a healthy way of actually dealing with it, because she's acknowledging the fact it didn't feel good, but she realized this is something I need to look at. And so when you get in constructive criticism and it make you walk away and not deal with it, that's an indication that you're pushing it down and you don't know how to deal with it, which is fine. But sometimes it is hard to receive negative feedback, but it's also good for growth. So it's a good thing to look at that. Do you go out of your way to please your boss at the expense of your own ethical standards? That's a big one, because you got to remember, if you don't have any standards, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. And so you got to know your standards. That's why I love doing that type of work with people, because if you don't know like I said, if you don't know who you are, you miss out on your purpose. And some people often don't know their purpose because they let everybody else dictate what their purpose is and how they're supposed to conduct themselves. Another thing that people often do when they seeking validation is taking excessive work home or staying late to gain recognition or approval from their boss. That's why I say anytime you seek something external to validate who you are, that's an indication that you need to get the work done. You need to reach out, get the help you need, because it's not serving anything in your life that's purposeful. Social media dependence is a big one, because social media is a tough one, because this one I knew I needed help in social media a long time ago. You know how your birthday come and you don't get comments or likes? That happened to me one time, and it wasn't because the interesting part. It wasn't because people didn't want to. You know how your settings are on Messenger, and you're not able to comment on a page. That's what my Facebook was on at that time. But when the way I was reacting and my behavior, remember I told you behavior has everything to do with your life. With your thoughts. My thoughts was like, don't nobody care about me. And when my thoughts was there was in a season where my thoughts was like that, no, nobody care about me, don't nobody care about me. And as soon as I didn't get any birthday messages on Facebook, I was so wounded. And my reaction was, I'm not ever saying happy birthday to nobody. But I didn't realize that my messenger thing wasn't on. But regardless of that, social media exacerbates the need for validation, likes. People whine about, don't nobody like what I have or comment on what I'm doing, or that's not the measure for your self-worth. Half the time, at the end of the day, social media is just a platform to see pictures. It was the purpose for it was for us to see each other's pictures and see how each other's doing, be able to reach out with a quick, hey, how you doing? But people done social media done went on another level to the point of challenging people's self-worth. That's why it's important to know who you are, because you're not moved by that. I'm not even moved by that anymore. I'm so grateful that God had really sat me down and dealt with that inner child in me. It took a lot of work to do it, and I'm not saying it don't show up sometimes. This platform, this doing Mondays with Martha, has built a muscle, I kid you not, around the need for validation. I really had to I had to figure out within myself what's inside of me. God gave me. He blessed me with a gift. He said the gift come without repentance. The gift I have in me, I don't need validation for, because when I feel inadequate, I go to him, and what he does in the room when I'm with my clients is amazing. I totally depend on him, because the complexity of a person's life, I'm not gonna know. I don't care how much education I have, I would never know the complexities of everybody in the world's life. But what he gave me was tools to use to pull out of my toolbox. And so I'm able to do that in the room with my clients. But I feel validated by God. I feel valued because he's using me. And I feel valued for who I am in him. My value comes from him. And so this constant need of approval, seeking praise, comments, positive reinforcement for others, your self-worth is that lets you know your self-worth is heavily dependent on external validation rather than internal acceptance and assurance. If you have a problem accepting yourself, how you expect others to do that? They may seem like they do, but they're not. It's a form of manipulation. You often experience sometimes intense fear of rejection and disapproval. But all of that leads to anxiety and stress. That's when you're seeking validation, that's an intense fear of rejection and disapproval. But it's from external forces. You may go to great lengths to please other people, but it's often at the expense of your own needs and desires. That's an indication that you need to really check, what do I feel about myself? What is this inner child crying desperately out for? Because the root cause is the inner child affliction. The inner child that struggled as they were growing up, but it was never dealt with. That's what that cry is. When people are seeking validation, you know it, because you feel worn out when they leave you. I kid you not, because you got to constantly remind them of who they are, and they don't believe it themselves. That's a pull on your system, and you feel it. But you also can take advantage of that. That's the danger. So it's deeply rooted in your belief system that says, I must do this to earn value. That's really what's happening. You feel this sense of, I gotta perform to earn value. You actually looking for value externally. So overcoming this involves shifting your focus from external approval to internal acceptance. How do you do that? Number one, here's the biggest thing, and this is it in a nutshell. You don't have to earn value. Jesus died on the cross for you. He said you were bought at a price, and that price is, there's no value. The value is too much to even handle, because he gave his life. No one can give you value. So stop trying to be validated because they can't give you that. You already have it. Why seek something you already have? You are valuable because you were born. That's why you're valuable. And when God did that work in me and showed me Martha, you are valuable. You were bought at a price. You valuable because you were born, and you were born with a purpose. Here's your purpose. Now go do what go do what I called you to do. That's a blessing because I don't have to think about that no more. And I don't need nobody to validate me. I get people coming to me all the time. I could take you here. I can give you more clients. I could do this. No. I'm not paying $10,000 for you to do something that only God can do anyway. So I just wanted to come on and talk about that because I kid you not, if you're struggling with this, get some help. It is so easy to get manipulated if you don't know who you are. I promise you, people know how to feed that seed and they would take you for a ride. So I just want to just come on and just encourage you. Call me. Book your 15-minute assessment with me. Let's talk about where you are so you can know what area you need to work on in your life so you won't fall victim to someone else manipulating you, while in turn you getting your drug hit of I need validation. It's an addiction because it's a hit that you're trying to get when you feeling like you're not valued or you're not feeling like you're not good enough. You need a drug hit. It's an instant gratification that does not serve you. So call me for you. Go book your 15-minute assessment. Come see me. Let's get you to connect your heart with your actions and your heart to your value system so you can know you're valuable just because you were born. So happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And this is episode number 20. I'm super excited. I can't believe that I am consistent with this. And I'm so excited because I love doing it. I really love talking to you guys. I'm hoping one day to do, to take this podcast one day. I'm still working on looking to do like a question and answer session where people call in and do questions, and I just talk to them about and answer their questions through the wisdom and knowledge that God blessed me with. I'm hoping to do that. It may not be on a Monday morning, it may be in the evening time. So I'm working on that. I will keep you guys posted on that. And I just want you guys to have a happy Monday. Enjoy your day. This is the day that the Lord has made. Hallelujah. Have a happy day. I'm signing off.